Yes, very good morning to all. I hope I'm audible to online students and my screen is visible too. All okay from my side?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Enough of discussion now. We're about to complete, not complete rather, we are almost 70-80% done with this unit. Before I forget, let me tell you that mid-sem syllabus will be your unit number 4, that is for your normalization unit, and unit number 7, this is transaction unit. One or two units I'll add by consulting the other class faculty. So within a day or two, I'll be telling you the mid-sem syllabus for mid to BPM, right? But these two units are for sure. Unit number 4 and unit number 7 is for your syllabus. I hope I am clearly audible to online students. I have told you that mid-sem syllabus is unit number 7 and 4 for sure. One or two units I'll be adding within a day or two. Okay. So let's continue with the discussion. As I've already told you, now the majority of the discussions will be, somewhat conceptual and theoretical. We will not have the numericals or something, practice problems or graph. We don't have in this particular section of the unit. So far in transaction, we have started with what is a transaction, what are the property of a transaction, what is a schedule, what are the asset properties which is there to be handled by each and every transaction. Then when we have done two types of serializability, conflict and view. Then we started with the recoverability schedules. That is whether the schedules are recoverable or not. Also, we have learned a little bit discussion about cascading schedule and cascaded schedule in the previous session. And the last was database recovery, where we have learned two types of algorithm, log-based algorithm and shadow paging. So this was the summary for this unit. Now we are again going to cover one major aspect of every database, that is concurrency control. We know that in our database, in any real-time application, it is. So I started with the recording. In any database system, in real-time application, it is not only single user is going to interact with the system. There will be multiple users who are going to interact with the system, and hence it is very much essential to have the concurrency between any. Another important point, you are free to go out of the class and do that. A point not high, A point not high, that's not fair. So, it is a scenario where multiple transactions, multiple users are interacting with your system. And hence it is very much essential to manage this concurrent access of the database because ultimately we want our database to remain consistent in all the scenarios. Fine? And that's why this is a major issue or major thing which has to be taken care by each and every database management system. Fine. So concurrency control, you already know what concurrency is, that multiple users are acting on the application, and how we can manage the consistency, how we can control the consistency of the users to interact with the database. That is a concurrency control mechanism. So concurrency control is used to address conflicts which occur with a multi-user system who have access to perform read-write operation in database. Now obviously think of a scenario. We know that there are only two major operations we are working with right now, that is read and write. Right? There are only two major operations. Now, someone is reading my data. Should anybody allowed to update that record at that time? When I'm reading the thing, should it be allowed to update? No. When I'm writing that data, should anybody be allowed to write the data again at the same time? No. So this is only conflict we have to take care. But if I am reading, should I allow anyone else to read the same data? Yes, because when multiple users are reading something, there is no problem with the database consistency. I am not updating the data. But when the problem occurs when one is reading, one is writing, or when both are writing, that's the only problem we need to take care. So how these concurrency control mechanisms are handling such conflicts when there are multiple users accessing the same data. Please do remember, when somebody is accessing A and somebody is accessing B, there cannot be conflict. We have seen in conflict serializability also. If you are working with two data items separately, even both are writing, then also there is no problem. But the conflict occurs if the same data is accessed by multiple users. So that is what we are supposed to take care. I am just going through the explanation. You just pay attention to the discussion right now which is going. Don't pay attention in reading the content. Later on you can read it and let me know. Because in a read person तो आना ध्यान नहीं दे, you will miss some of the points. Read it later. Now why we need to take care about concurrency control? Why it is extremely necessary to manage these reads and writes of multiple users. So there are many problems, but major there are three problems. That is, one is called lost update, second is called dirty read, and third is called incorrect retrieval. There are many problems, but these are major. What do you mean by lost update? Transaction A has updated some value. And after that, before actually it commits, transaction B comes and updates that same value. So the update made by transaction T1 has lost. Right? That's called lost update. The only problem is occurred because the transaction A just updated the value, and before it actually commits, somebody else is coming and writing on that same value. That is a lost update by T1. Agreed? This is a problem when you are allowing multiple users to interact at the same time. Second is dirty read. I have updated a value. Dirty read, I think we have discussed, right? We have updated a value. Before that transaction actually commits, somebody is reading that updated value from the buffer, and it may happen that the previous transaction rolled back, and the update which is read by the transaction T2 is actually incorrect. And hence you are having a dirty read. The read which is not actually the exact one or proper one, that's why we call it as a dirty read. This is a problem. Second problem which occurs when you are having multiple users. Another problem is incorrect retrieval. When one transaction accesses data to use it in other operation, but before it can use, somebody updates it. That's what somebody is fetching the data from database. In while it, see, it's a network, right? Do you understand network and delays? You need a fraction of time to get your data from the database to your memory, right? So meanwhile, one transaction is reading the data from the database. Meanwhile, it goes to the exact place where it should be. Somebody is updating, right? So that is incorrect retrieval. And when somebody has updated the original value and the value which you have read previously, both are different. Actually, it's a mismatch. That's an inconsistency. And hence, this is also a major issue when there is a conflict system. Clear? So due to these problems, it is extremely necessary to maintain your concurrency, to maintain the consistency of your database. So what can be the solution? Can anyone tell me? Just a simple. I want just a vague idea if you have. What should be done? Let's say I'm taking the database lecture here. Right now, TC1 is occupying MHC01, and right now TPMS lecture is going on. So to maintain the consistency and concurrency, what should be done on this classroom? Should anybody's faculty be allowed to enter the classroom right now? No, there should not be any faculty to take the lecture in any of the classes in EC1 right now. Right? That is a kind of, you are, Simon has given the right word, you are actually doing isolation. You are keeping everything alone which you are actually using. The things which I am using, I am keeping for myself only. Yes or no? If I am using EC1 EC1 class, EC1 student should come here only. If I am using NH301, it should be, I have locked that, I have ensured that NH301 does not belong to any other classes right now. Clear? Yes, after 11:10 any other class can come because my lecture was from 10 to 11. After 11, you are also free, I am also free, you can go, you can be accessed by any other faculty in any other class. Clear? So this is called an isolation which can be achieved with what? We have used the word, I don't want to use it, but I have used the word mistaken. If I lock this classroom, can anyone enter it? No. So the mechanism to ensure that nobody enters the classroom, if I have entered, that's called lock. So locking is a mechanism. Lock is a mechanism through which you can say that, or you can have your own way. So you will say that, okay, I want to use EC1 class. I'll say to my authority that 10 to 11 on Tuesday, I'll be using EC1. So my EC1 class, NH301 in EC1 will be locked by me. Now when I am locking EC1 for 10 to 11, it is my responsibility to make you available after 11. Right? I should not lock you in the classroom from 9 to 4. You're anything. Right? But when I am saying that I want to use this, I should be telling that, okay, I'll be using this for this time and then I'll free them. So that's what locking mechanism. So when you are having a lock, when you want to lock something, there are two things. You will acquire the lock. Right? And then once your use is over, you will release the lock. Is it clear? Shall we proceed? Acceptable? Concurrency on lock is one of the major ideas. So that when one is using, no one will be able to access that. If I am updating value A, nobody else will be able to read A as well as update A. And that's what I have achieved by isolation. And there will not, and once I release it, that means what? I don't want to use it now. I'll be releasing it. So now everybody is free to use that. Those who will acquire will use it and will release it. Fine? So let's understand the lock. Lock-based protocol. There are two types of lock now. We have understood two scenarios. If transaction 1 is reading, should anybody allowed to read or not? Yes. If 1 is reading, there can be 100 of transactions which should be allowed to read. Read 500 जना करे no problem. ठीक है? 500 जना यहाँ भी check करी जाए कि कौन lecture ले, that's fine. Right? But nobody should enter and take the lecture parallel. That's what the issue. So when a transaction is already reading, everybody is allowed to read that particular thing. But when a transaction is writing, nobody should allow to read as well as write the data. So for this two purpose, we have two types of lock: exclusive lock and shared lock. Shared is, the meaning is self-explanatory. Shared means this lock is shared one. This is not exclusive for somebody. This is shared. मतलब अगर A data item पे transaction T1 ने S lock लिया है, that is shared lock लिया है, any other transaction can also take the S lock. That's fine. That's a shared lock. This lock is shared by multiple transactions. You can also say shared lock or you can also say S lock. Next is the exclusive lock. If somebody has acquired the X lock हम कब लेते हैं? जब हमें उसको अपडेट करना है, ठीक है? S lock हम कब लेते हैं? जब हमें इसको रीड ही करना है, अपडेट नहीं करना है, ठीक है? Are you getting the difference? When we generally take the S lock, when we want to read something. When we take the X lock, when we want to write something. So let's say this is transaction T1, this is transaction T2. T1 has S lock. Can T2 get S lock? Transaction T1 is S lock. Can T2 get S lock? Yes. Transaction T1 is S lock. Can T2 get X lock? No. Somebody is reading. I should not allow anyone to update it right now. So X lock not possible. T1 is X lock. Reading possible by another transaction? No. So false. T2 T1 has X lock. Should anybody allow update the variable? No. Again, this is it. So only if S is there and if someone wants to read it parallelly, then it is comfortable. You can get the lock. You can get the lock, multiple S lock on the same data item by different transactions. This is the only combination possible. Am I clear with this? It's easy. That this is not a rocket science ki difficult હોય and these are obvious. કે જ્યારે બંનેમાં રીડ કરવાનું તમે અલાઉ કરો છો, રીડ કરવા માટે અલાઉ કરો, અપડેટ કોઈ પણ કરતું હોય કે કરવા માંગતું હોય અલાઉ નહીં કરવાનું. એટ અ ટાઈમ ઓનલી વન ટ્રાન્ઝેક્શન. And who manages all things? Have you opened the try to open a Word document or PowerPoint or something? That actually this is a file which you are opening with Microsoft Office, right? Now let me tell you this also. Jo chapter 7 I have opened it, right? I have opened this particular PPT. If I go to my folder, can you see this is locked. This is actually a temporary file. Whatever change I do with this PPT, that is going to be done here. Once I save it, that copy is going to reflected here. And you can see here it is logged. Right? Every OS has different way to name it. Now, can I rename this? Can I rename this? No. Why? Because this file is actually accessed by your application, that is, in my case, it is LibreOffice. In your case, it can be Microsoft Office. Rename is a property of your operating system, so it is going to rename your application. But if your content is already used by someone else, something else, then it will not allow you to rename it. This is what the importance of lock. This is a lock implied by your operating system. The same type of thing you will have in the database also. आप एक टेबल पे वर्क कर रहे हो, वो टेबल आपने अगर ओपन किया है अपने में, तो अगर आपको रीड करना है, रीड कर लो, देयर इज नो प्रॉब्लम. लेकिन अगर उसी टेबल को आपको अपडेट करना है, ये मल्टी यूजर एनवायरनमेंट में हो तो हो सकता है. आप ये मत बोलना कि मैडम एपेक्स में ये क्यों नहीं हो रहा. एपेक्स राइट नाउ द वर्जन विच यू आर यूजिंग फॉर एपेक्स इज अ सिंगल वर्जन, सिंगल यूजर वर्जन. तो आप ही यूज कर रहे हो, आप ही अपडेट करो, तो एट अ टाइम आप ही वर्क कर रहे हो. देयर आर नो मल्टीपल यूजर्स हु आर वर्किंग ऑन इट. ठीक है. सो दिस इज व्हाट द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ लॉक. So this is a lock-based protocol. Let me explain you the example right now. Let's say transaction T2 wants to read the content of A. So before lock-based protocol क्या बोल रहा है कि आपको कुछ भी read या write करना है, first of all you have to acquire the type of lock based on your operation. आपको अगर read करना है S lock acquire करो. अगर आपको write करना है X lock acquire. मान लो अगर T2 wants to read the content of A, अभी A ऑलरेडी किसी और ट्रांजैक्शन यूज कर रहा है T1, तो ऑलरेडी T1 ने लॉक ले लिया होगा. So now if T1 has already a lock on a particular data item, T2 will not acquire it only. T2 को मिलेगा ही नहीं, and if T2 doesn't get the lock, T2 cannot read it. Because lock-based protocol says that whatever you want to do with the reading or writing, first of all you have to lock it, use it and release it. Clear? अभी मान लो कि A data item free है, nobody is using the A data item, and A wants to read it, so it will just say lock S. That is which type of lock? Shared lock, because I am interested in reading operation. So lock on S, lock on A, read it, Now it is my responsibility to release that lock also, because unless and until I don't release it, what will happen? It will be locked only. Nobody else will be using it forever, right? ये ML301 मैंने लॉक कर दिया 10 to 11. Now मैंने आपको भेज तो दिया, मेरा काम हो गया लेक्चर लेने के बाद, लेकिन फिर भी मैं ये लॉक ही रख रही. It should not, right? So that other classes can use this notation. जब तक आप रिलीज नहीं करोगे, your that data item will not be usable by any other transaction. Hence, whenever you are locking, it is mandatory to release it as well. So, lock it, use it, release it. Lock it, read it, release it. And once everything is run, this is simple transaction which is just adding the value of A and B. That's it. Simple. Got it? શું કરવાનું સૌથી પહેલા? Lock it, use it, release it. Lock it, use it, release it. Now, as per your usage, whether to read or write, based on that you are supposed to acquire a lock. S lock will not permit you to write it. Right? If you tell that I have an S lock, after reading, can I write it? Can I have a write instruction here? No, because I have only demanded for read it. So it will only allow me to read it. It will not allow me to update. This is called locking mechanism. And who manages everything? ये बोलेगा कौन? जब वो ये free है ले लो, ये free नहीं है मत लो, wait करो, कौन बोलेगा? It is a lock. There is a lock manager. Manager मतलब कोई आदमी ही होता है. Lock manager again is a software which manages all the locks. कितने ट्रांजैक्शन है, किस ट्रांजैक्शन को कौन-कौन सी डेटा आइटम चाहिए, उस डेटा आइटम में कौन-कौन से लॉक चाहिए. हो सकता है कि A में मुझे S लॉक चाहिए, B में मुझे X लॉक चाहिए. So everything is managed, granting of the lock, and after release of the lock, again to make that data item free, all these things are to be taken care by your lock manager. OS में भी लॉक मैनेजर होता है, ये डेटाबेस का स्पेशल लॉक मैनेजर है, वो डेटाबेस के लिए वर्क करता है. ठीक है? Again, it's a software only, it's a module which manages all these things. We'll have a diagram later on. Got this lock-based protocol? Do read the content from the book properly. So I suggest that this particular unit and unit number 4, both are very, very lengthy. And each and every topic of these two units are extremely important. So I recommend that start reading from your book, whichever we have written, handwritten notes, then go with the PPT, try to have more idea on the particular topic, and then go for your reference book from where you are preparing. I hope. Next example, Kari. Just 2 minutes. So, fine. So, lock-based protocol says that there are 3 stages. For any transaction, you can say that all the lock, first of all, say, do you know compiler, right? When you are compiling a C program, what happens? Object file बनती है, assembler आता है, linker आता है, loader आता है, that's fine. When you are actually compiling, your entire program is scanned. If you have heard this phrase or not, it is two-phase compiler. Two-phase compiler. Two-phase compiler मतलब आपका जो भी program है, it is scanned twice. अब later on in 6th semester, you will be learning a subject called compiler design, where you will be learning this in detail. जब भी आप simple program भी बनाते हो, calculator का C program है, your entire program is scanned 2 times. And it is so fast that even you don't realize that it has been scanned 2 times. But what happens during this? Do you think it's just a simple process? No, there are so many things involved in compiling. One of them is symbol table. Symbol table मतलब जब भी आपका प्रोग्राम आप लिखते हो और कंपाइल करते हो, the compiler keep a note that how many data variables, how many memory locations your program is actually referring. Are you getting? How many memory locations your program is actually referring, and based on that it creates a table, symbols, it's called a symbol table. And it checks two things. दो टाइप की एनालिसिस होती है, लेक्सिकल एंड सिमेंटिक. सिमेंटिक एनालिसिस एंड सिंटेक्स एनालिसिस. सिंटेक्स मतलब आपने जो लिखा है वो सी प्रोग्राम के सिंटेक्स के प्रॉपर सिंटेक्स के अकॉर्डिंग है या नहीं. लास्ट में सेमीकोलन आना चाहिए, कीवर्ड का ये स्पेलिंग होना चाहिए, फंक्शन का ये ब्रैकेट होना चाहिए, एरे का ये स्क्वायर ब्रैकेट होना चाहिए, एरे में नॉन नेगेटिव इंडेक्स होना चाहिए. ये सब वो चेक करता है सिंटेक्स. Then it takes semantic. Semantic मतलब meaning. 10 divided by 0. Syntactically correct or not? 10 divided by 0. Syntactically it's absolutely correct. You are dividing a number by a number. But there is no meaning of dividing a number by 0. That is called a semantics. Right? So this two checking is done along with the symbol table is prepared, where the entry for each and every memory locations are done. मतलब आपको आपके प्रोग्राम को कंपाइलर को पहले से पता है कि आप कितने कितने डेटा आइटम्स, कितने कितने मेमोरी लोकेशंस यूज करने वाले हो. Am I clear? वही कंसेप्ट अब याद रखो कि जितने मेरा ट्रांजैक्शन है, ट्रांजैक्शन इज नॉट एक्चुअली just not a set of instructions. Again, it is a transaction. It's a program return. This is a pseudocode which we are learning. Again, there is a program which is going to compile for syntax shifting, right? तो जब भी आप कंपाइल कर रहे हो, वो आपके ट्रांजैक्शन को पहले से पता है DBMS को कि this transaction is using A and B variables. ठीक है? और A को सिर्फ रीड करने वाला है ये ट्रांजैक्शन, B को अपडेट करने वाला. Everything is there before actually your transaction executes. So what your log-based protocol says that before your transaction starts, you have the list of variables you want to use, right? So acquire the log first. मुझे डेटा आइटम कितने की जरूरत है? A और B. मुझे पहले से पता है my transaction is going to use A and B. This I came to know with the help of compilation. ठीक है? Compilation हो गया, मुझे A और B की जरूरत है. मान लो A और B दोनों फ्री नहीं है. A free है, B free नहीं है. Free नहीं है मतलब क्या हुआ? Somebody else is using it. ठीक है? तो A free है, B free नहीं है. Should I start the transaction? I need two things to complete my transaction. Out of these two, one is available, one is not available. Should I start the transaction or not? Obviously not, because if I'm using A, that's fine. The instruction for A will be executed properly. But when I come to instruction for B, somebody else has acquired that lock. Unless and until that transaction doesn't release that lock, I will not be able to proceed. मैं वैसे भी wait state में जाने वाली. Am I clear? So what your log-based protocol says that if everything which you need is not available to you, don't start your transaction. बीच में से वेट करो, इससे बेटर है कि ट्रांजैक्शन स्टार्ट ही मत करो. आप तो वेट करो कि सभी डेटा आइटम जो आपको यूज करनी है वो फ्री हो. जैसे ही फ्री आ जाए, स्टार्ट योर ट्रांजैक्शन. Once your transaction gets over, release all the locks. So total 3 phases. Lock request, all the locks which you need will be requested. Now when I say lock, now that I think you understand that lock will be either of two types, S or X. Based on your use, you are supposed to acquire the lock. Then execute the transaction. Once the transaction gets complete, releases the lock. Easy. बीच में से वेट करना उससे बेटर है पहले से ही वेट करो. वैसे भी वेट तो करना ही पड़ेगा. बीच में से वेट करोगे तो प्रॉब्लम होगा. वी आर गोइंग टू ये जो आप बोल रहे थे शुभम, इफ आई हैव मल्टीपल ट्रांजैक्शन, ये जो वी हैव डिस्कस्ड पर्सनल ट्रांजैक्शन. लेट्स से आई हैव two transactions parallel, T3 and T4. T3 is acquiring the X lock. B is free right now. So it is acquiring X lock, wants to update that lock, and then it is writing B. Now after write B, T3 ने release किया है lock. नहीं किया, मतलब जब तक वो रिलीज नहीं करेगा और कोई यूज नहीं कर पाएगा. ओके, नाउ देयर इज अ कंटेक्स्ट स्विच. कंटेक्स्ट स्विच T4 को A यूज करना था. A was free, right? So acquire the lock on A, read A कर लिया. अभी this T4 wants lock on B. T4 wants lock on B. ये समझ में आया? B किसने ऑक्यूपाई करके रखा है? T3. किसको चाहिए? T4 को चाहिए. अभी देखो, मतलब क्या होगा जब तक ये लाइन अभी मत देखो, ये लाइन अभी लास्ट वाली लाइन अभी मत देखो. T3 ने अक्वायर किया है B लॉक, B पे लॉक, T4 को वो चाहिए. जैसे ही T3 रिलीज कर देगा लॉक, T4 will continue its execution. Till then, your T4 will be in wait state. Yes or no? वो वेट करेगा कि चलो जब तक फ्री नहीं होता वेट, जैसे ही फ्री हो गया I'll execute it. Till now there is no problem. But think this. Now T3 wants lock on A, which is occupied by T4. अभी ना तो T4 अपना लॉक रिलीज कर रहा है, ना T3 अपना. It's a cycle. T3 is dependent on T4. T4 is dependent on T3. Is it clear? अगर आप प्रॉपर टाइम पे रिलीज नहीं कर रहे हो लॉक, तो ऐसा हो सकता है कि somebody else is waiting on you and you are also waiting on somebody. अगर ये साइकिल नहीं होती तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होता, कोई एक वेट करेगा, जैसे ही रिलीज कर देगा वो यूज कर देगा. लेकिन ये पूरी साइकिल ट्रांजैक्शन T3 को कंप्लीट करने के लिए लॉक A की जरूरत है और T4 को करने के लिए लॉक B की जरूरत है. यहाँ पे B की जरूरत है. दोनों में से दोनों रिलीज भी नहीं कर रहे और वेट में भी जा रहे. दिस सिचुएशन इज कॉल्ड अ डेडलॉक. नाउ यू कैन नॉट प्रोसीड. इट इज कंटिन्यूअस इन अ वेट स्टेट. This type of scenario is called deadlock. Extremely important aspect of your exam. What is a deadlock? ये OS में भी extremely important question है, DPMS में भी extremely important. What is a deadlock? Deadlock is a scenario where multiple transactions are waiting on the resources which are acquired by some another resources and no one is ready to release it. मैं हूँ नहीं छोड़ू, कार्य कर बोलूँगा. બધા જીદ ઉપર આવી જાય તો ડેડલોક. આવું થાય ને ઘરમાં થાય. પપ્પા મમ્મી એરે થાય, હું તો નહીં કરું, પપ્પા તો હું આ નહીં કરું, હું આ બસ ડેડલોક. So always this, do we prefer the situation? No, we don't want this. We don't want any schedule to come in the deadlock. But yes, when you are having concurrency, you may face a deadlock. Whenever your memory hang થઈ ગઈ, you cannot proceed further. You are not able to run any of the application. But શું કરવું પડે? You go to task manager, you kill the process explicitly. You kill કરો છો, right? You end the process. That's actually the explicit killing of a process. The killing of process explicitly. જે તમારા પ્રમાણે જે પ્રાયોરિટી જેની લો છે એને તમે kill કરો. તમે વર્ડ ડોક્યુમેન્ટ એડિટ કરતા હો અને મૂવી જોતા હો, હેન્ગ થઈ ગયું તો તમે કોને કિલ કરો? વર્ડ ડોક્યુમેન્ટ. મૂવીને કિલ કરવું જોઈએ કારણ કે વર્ડ ડોક્યુમેન્ટમાં યુ આર ટાઈપિંગ સમથિંગ, યુ આર ક્રિએટિંગ ધ મટીરિયલ ફોર યોર ક્લાસ, રાઈટ? વેરી કંટ્રોલ. So we don't want a deadlock where somebody is in constant wait. This only happens if no transaction is ready to release the locks. If the transaction is ready to release the lock, then it's fine. Then there will not be any deadlock. Can you avoid deadlock 100%? Can you avoid deadlock 100%? It's not possible. Because see, it is totally software based. your OS or DPMS is handling everything. Sometimes it may happen that even you try to have so many blocks and the concurrency mechanism, still there can be a deadlock. And you have to tackle it, you have to kill some of the less prioritized process or transaction. So deadlock are a necessary evil. You cannot 100% avoid deadlock. It's not possible for any DBMS as well as operating system. Another thing is starvation. Okay, can I do one thing? I have multiple transactions. With every transaction, can I attach a priority? If I say that I have 5 transactions, transaction T3 is highest priority transaction. I will be doing the first thing. Then T4, then T1, then T2, and then T5. ये मेरी priority है. ठीक है? अपने college selection में भी किया होगा. First of all, I am interested in this college, this branch. Then this college, this branch. This college, this branch. पहली priority को मिल जाता है, that's fine. Right? Second, पहले में नहीं मिलता तो second में नहीं मिलता, that's a priority. Right? You choose. अभी आप जैसे ही ट्रांजैक्शन को शेड्यूल आप जैसे ही शेड्यूल को एग्जीक्यूट करोगे you always try to complete the high priority transaction, of course, right? You always try to complete the high priority transaction. अभी मान लो जो मैकेनिज्म कॉन्करेंसी कंट्रोल की मैकेनिज्म है वो अच्छे से डिजाइन नहीं हुई तो क्या होता है हर बार आप दो ट्रांजैक्शन जैसा ही कोई दो ट्रांजैक्शन आ जाता है कॉन्करेंटली there is a deadlock. So every time you to remove that deadlock, every time you kill some process. और kill कौन सा करोगे? लो प्रायोरिटी हर बार. तो कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि हर बार बेचारा एक ही ट्रांजैक्शन किल होता जाए. उसको वो मिलता ही नहीं डेटा आइटम्स कभी भी वो लॉक कर ही नहीं पा रहा उस डेटा आइटम से कि वो कंप्लीट हो. हर बार you are killing the same transaction again and again to execute higher priority tasks. This concept is called starvation. Starvation means there is a victim. Every time there is only one victim who is getting killed to avoid or to avoid the deadlock, or rather to remove the deadlock from the system. Starvation is also possible if concurrency control manager is badly designed. Transaction may be waiting for an X lock on an item while a sequence of other transaction requests are granted on S lock on the same item. दूसरी high priority की process आ जाती है. हर बार वो उसको ही दे देता है. And one transaction is always in a wait state. That's called a starvation. Starvation, what is the Gujarati meaning of starvation? So that transaction is not getting all its resource, so it cannot complete. Here, starvation and deadlock. It can be for 3 marks, 1 mark, 7 marks. Right? Same transaction is repeatedly rolled back due to deadlock. Starvation can be managed. There is no other transaction holding a lock that raises a certain type of conflict. There is no other transaction that requests a lock before any other transaction is still waiting to acquire a lock. That's fine. So there should not be any transaction. Okay. Okay, fine. We'll keep it till here. I will not be able to complete this two-phase locking protocol. So we are keeping till here. If you have any doubt, let me know. Any doubt so far? હોતો જ નથી. ડાઉટ અમારે જ હોય છે કે માર્ક્સ આટલા કેમ આવે છે. અમારે ડાઉટ હોતા જ નથી. Yes, online student, any doubt so far?
for this concurrency control mechanism?
No doubts.
Okay, great. Let me take the attendance then. Yes, what is the status? What is the status of lab A, B, C? All of you have completed the practical 4. Anybody left with fourth one? No, half done is no. That you have to complete, right? Fine. So all of you are at the same page. That is practical number 5. See, we have only now 2 labs with us in this week and in the next week. Please make it fast. Come to the lab after revising all the 4 practicals, because practical number 5 has around 70 to 80 queries. But all these queries will be from practical number 1 to 4 only. Yes. Attendance. Roll number 1. Write it in the chat box. I'm not able to hear properly. So write it in the chat box, your number. Roll number 1. Okay. 4, 8. Yes, please. I'm not able to hear. 8, 9, 10, 14, 18, 20, 21, 23, 26, 27, 29, 30, 31, 34, 39, 43, 44, 48, 49, 52, 56, 56. અહીંયા ધ્યાન રાખો ને. 58, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 70, 71, 72, 74, 75, 77, 76, 77, okay, 77, 78, 79, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 91, 95, 97, 98, 99, 100, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 13, 14, 20, 23, 26, 27, 130. Fine. Online student can leave. Wish you a very happy day. Take care. Bye for now. Yeah, okay, done. Okay, Vidhi.